Okay. I just like, I swear, like, it's got to be, trying to think, like maybe 10 years ago, like when streaming was fairly new. I swear it was a lot harder to get a stream going. But nowadays, you just sign in, you click a button, and you're done. You're ready to go. You even got templates. That's just crazy. Just thinking about it now, actually. Hello, by the way. This is a stream that's probably going to be about music, mostly on music writing and education. I'll probably go through another couple of things that I have in my head as well. I generally do a lot of talking at the start of the stream and then go on to do a lot of boring writing. Generally about an hour long, and it's probably going to be an hour long this time. I originally intended to start streaming at about 6, and then it got pushed back to 7 and 8, and then 9, and then I was like, oh, okay, I need to stop delaying. I guess I'll go through what I delayed with in a bit. But yeah, what was I talking about? um, oh yeah, back in the day, it used to be that really I couldn't stream at all when I was younger. I remember having my Xbox 360. God, so this couldn't have been 10 years ago. This must have been like 15 years ago now. I was so old. I'm 26 in about 2 weeks. Um, it's just crazy to think that I was 10 years old. I was 11 years old 15 years ago. That's fucking crazy. Um, so yeah, probably back 15 years ago. Jesus Christ, 15 years ago. It seems old. 15 years ago, I used to have this box. God, what was it called? Was it called like Ava Media? Let me take a look. Oh, sorry, the way that the stream looks is really terrible. There we go. That's better. Um, Ava Media. Ava Media. Uh, Recording. I don't know what you call it. A capture card. There it is. They still sell this shit? It looked like that. And you plug this thing in. So nowadays, what do you have? It's like the HD60. Is that even still a HD60 Elgato? I assume Elgato is probably still the big league. So you have products, capture. Okay, so you have the HD60X, which is the one I have, I think. No, it's the 4K, which I guess makes sense. So it's this tiny little thing nowadays that you have. So back in the day, 15 years back, I had this thing. So it had this. This was about, I guess it's a little smaller than an Xbox Series S. And you'd click this button, or you had one of those like you can see the little black bar here. Just making sure that the stream can see that. Yeah, okay. So you can see there's this little black bar here. And you used to get a I don't know, it's like a TV remote essentially, and you could connect it onto there, uh, and you record there. You have your microphone input and your headphone input and a USB, so you could power your microphone. Um, and yeah, and that would be how you'd record. And then if you wanted to see what was actually on the recording, you would have to switch over on your TV to this box. You'd have to switch over from your TV to this box and essentially see you recording on like some awful software technology. It was a terrible thing. It seems like Ava Media is still a thing though, or is it? I don't know. I don't. Ava Media. I haven't heard of Ava Media in a long time. Okay, they're still making stuff. 4K 144. Okay, I mean that's powerful. The new logo sucks. Used to look a lot cooler. Products. No, that's webcam. That's webcam. Products 4K. So you got USB, you got Thunderbolt 1s, PCIe. So that was actually a big thing with AverMedia. They were more focused on computer capture cards, which I guess doesn't really make sense anymore. Because recording software has really reached a point where you don't, like, unless you have a really crap GPU. I mean, I guess this takes the burden away from your GPU, but I don't even know how much of a burden it is. Like, I'm recording this right now, and it's probably not. If I was to record a game on here, I don't think I'd even be thinking like, "Oh fuck, I'm recording," so it's probably making it worse. I don't even know what this thing would offer you nowadays. Mm. Oh, other than I guess it could guarantee that it's never going to glitch or anything like that. They don't put a price on here, which is a bit worrying. But anyway, nowadays it's the Elgato because the Elgato is so much smaller. Um, they just considered a cooler company, I guess. And as far as I remember, uh, oh, cool, a teleprompter. Why do I think that's cool? That is one expensive teleprompter. At that point, you might as well just have a laptop and just let it do it that way. I guess it's a really small solution. Oh, and I guess it goes over your camera as well, so it makes it a bit easier to... Hmm. I don't know. I guess if you have the spare money to blow, then why not? Yeah, these are the capture cards. See, yeah, so this is another PCIe one. 4K in and out. Yeah, I don't know why you'd invest in a... There's no need to compromise that 4K turns your PC or dual PC setup into the ultimate streaming machine and leaves your gameplay alone. So apparently, I mean, I guess it's good in the sense that, like, okay, you've got a capture card, you can, I guess it does 4K, so maybe it's not as much of a burden on your machine, but I don't know. I feel like I would save this money and just get a better graphics card if that was the case. This is almost like a bolt-on solution. Does it say it does 8K? It does 8K pass through 4K capture. Because I guess you're still, I guess you're, does it just change your capturing method from your graphics card to your capture card? So you can do up to 8K, but you just 4K capture. Okay, yeah. I mean, that's pretty cool. Anyway, this was the stuff though back in the day, but the real thing was, what's it called? AverMedia. It's the box. This thing. HD2, yeah. I wonder how much this thing would sell for today. It actually, I don't know. I don't even know if I care. I think it did 1080p at 30 FPS or 720p at 60 FPS. So it's not a very good machine in the slightest, but it did the job back in the day when I wanted to capture video. And then when the PS4 came along, you could just capture directly onto the console at 720p. and I didn't find much reason to get a new capture card until I wanted to put my, it's not there at the moment, but my other camera, I need to display it onto my PC somehow, and the only way you can do that apparently is a capture card for some reason. Right, that was a bit of a distraction. Hey, it made it a bit more casual. Um, so there's a couple of things I wanted to mention, which was that I wanted to do some streams, not just on music, but I also wanted to do some on politics. I'm from the UK, so the big things happening in the UK right now is that we have an election for American Independence Day, which is July 4th. And we have a couple of parties to go through. So I'm waiting for Labour's manifesto. Right now, if you go onto their website, they constantly ask you to donate. And I'm currently subscribed to their newsletter, I guess it's called. It's like when you put in your email and whatnot. And right now, Labour doesn't have a manifesto. They have this, which is like their plans to build Britain, but I feel like you're going to get about as much use from this as you would from. Actually, I'm going to put the mic here. Sorry, reason I'm doing that is because when I have a, I don't know what it's called. Maybe it's a lisp. Um, I have a lot of harsh s's in my speech, and I want to work on that. But a good way to sort it out is to put it to the side. Another thing is to get a pop filter and a couple of other things, but I just want to make sure there's not as much harsh s's. Um, where was I? So these have some things in them, but they don't have, for example, how they're going to fund it, right? So that they'll mention, let's find one of them. Switched on Great British Energy. So as far as I know, this is a plan to publicize the to publicize energy. Millions of working people are struggling, blah, blah, blah. That means we don't take control of our destiny, when instabilities abroad. The result has been devastating finances of ordinary families. We need to take control of the energy system. Solution is clean, homegrown power that we can produce at home in Britain. Yeah. So Labour will set up a Great British Energy, a publicly owned clean power company to cut bills for good and boost energy security paid by proper time-limited windfall tax on oil and gas giants. Now, I want to know how this is funded because as far as I know, we're already taxing the fuck out of windfall tax on oil and gas. But I might be wrong about that. Then we might have a bit more leverage of how much we can tax on windfall. But it's stuff like this that I want to know and understand. I think a good way to do that is reading their manifesto. So what I want to do is at some point when Labour finally release their manifesto, and this is same for the Conservatives, it's same for Lib Dems, it's same for Greens, all of them, Reform as well. I want to read all their manifestos, maybe take some notes and see what we can learn from them. Let me actually see real quick. So we got Conservatives. Manifesto. It's insane that Conservatives don't have a manifesto because they were the one that started this campaign. They knew they were going to make it a short 6-week campaign. So you would have thought they would have just went, okay, yeah, let's make a manifesto beforehand. You would have thought Labour would have had a manifesto because they've had nothing else to do. So the Conservatives don't have a manifesto yet. Labour doesn't have a manifesto. Lib Dems might have a manifesto. Actually, last I remember, Ed Davey was saying that it's soon coming, but it isn't there yet. Read our plan. Fair deal. See, they have. So for Lib Dems, they do have this website, which I assume is going to be a decent representation of their manifesto. But I kind of want to see the full manifesto that they're working on, the manifesto working group. The members of the working group have prepared this paper listed below. Download the pre-manifesto. When was this made? I've got this new mouse, by the way. This is a MX. If you search MX Masters 2S, I got it on secondhand, and it's very, very nice. Further copies of this paper can be found online at Make Policy Manifesto. Have you got a manifesto? We'll develop the Liberal Democrats manifesto. So it's being made, but it's not been made yet. Greens might have a manifesto now. Nope, I don't think they do. So one thing I do like about Greens. Jesus Christ, it's already been 20 minutes. One thing I like about Greens is that they haven't made their website properly. Get involved. What do we... So if I click on policy, it doesn't work. That's good. Good job, Greens. What do we stand for? No, I've definitely... Party. Main site. Get involved. It might actually be down at the moment because they're re-updating it, maybe? Oh, interesting. I don't really want to reveal where I'm from. Wait a minute, I'll put this to the other page, so I want to find... If I do a search here, is that going to be on that one? No, okay. Does it really matter? Are anyone really going to be tracking me down? I'm going to go into more detail about that in my own time, but I am happy that I can see who my candidate is, at least. Going back to here. Green Party. Farah Green. Green, 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 green. I swear. Okay. It's not here now. But I would say... I don't know. I can't exactly say when, but it was like a few days back. And they literally had a website that was updated like a wiki. And the last time it was updated was April 2024. And that was the latest thing that I could see. But now I can't even get their thing at all. So I don't know if I don't know if they're updating it or... Yeah, I think they must be updating it because they're not... I can't access that website at the moment. Hopefully it's just hopefully it's just that. So oh, and the final party would be, so I've done Lib Dems, done Labour, done Conservatives, Greens, and Reform. That's the only other party that I can think of that even has a chance of doing anything. To be honest, if anything, Reform's probably on a similar ground to Lib Dem. So form. Yeah. Yeah, I remember now. Okay, so Reform does have a working draft of our contract to you. So this is kind of like their closest thing to a manifesto thing. It's interesting that they have both Reform and the Brexit Party. Um, look at how low resolution this image is. I don't know if you can see that, but how is it so, so low resolution? I know it's a working draft, but Jesus. Anyway, he's not the leader anymore. It's now Nigel Farage. He's essentially the person who owns the company. Uh, but this is probably the closest that we have to the most modern manifesto. Although it's not a working draft, at least it is something that we can look at. That being said, business public sector must be no exception. Every manager across the government must find savings. We should slash wasteful. See, I don't know how in depth these manifestos are meant to be. In fact, let's see. By the way, so the reason that I want to look through these manifestos is so I'm more informed and that people are more informed. I think it will be a cool style of video to create and a cool stream to do. Let's actually see the Conservative Manifesto 2019. So this is an example of a manifesto from before. We can get it full screen. I don't need Acrobat. Just need it bigger. Bigger. Okay. That? Full screen. There we go. Jesus. Conservatives and unionist party. Okay. Extra funding with this many more staff. Blah blah blah. Okay, so I want to know how much detail are we expecting in these things. Okay. So, when the new government entered Downing Street, the Prime Minister made a simple promise to get Brexit done. Many said it would be impossible, but he swiftly negotiated a great new deal, despite Parliament's best efforts to block his progress. And then, when he put it to the MPs, they insisted on yet more delay. We must move on. The future relationship. We take back control of our laws, take back control of our money, control our trade policy, blah, 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 blah. So this is going to be very specific because at this point, they really tried to get through their law, and this is what they tried to push. I want to see. We will not borrow to fund day-to-day spending, but we will invest thoroughly and responsibly in infrastructure right across the country in order to increase our productivity and wages. Our fiscal rules means that public sector net investment will average more, sorry, our public sector net investment will not average more than 3% of GDP. And if that debt interest increases to 6% of our revenue, we will reassess our plans to keep debt under control. Interesting. So they were specific on these kind of things. We're proud this to power and we are proud to have confirmed a record 34 billion per year by the Parliament additional funding, and to have begun work on building 40 new hospitals across the country. as well as investing in hospitals and upgrade based on within the first 3 months of our new term, we will enshrine a new law of a fully funded long-term NHS plan. I like that. So, so this is interesting. So when the Conservatives actually went in, they said that within 3 months they'll have a new term. Actually, okay. Here's the thing: when this was made, this was before COVID. So I guess the problem is all of the issues that the NHS has had now has really been a result of the lack of funding, even at this point in 2019, and the fact that we went through a COVID period. Um, so I guess this wouldn't have happened. But let's see what they would have said anyway. So between 2018 and 2023, we will have raised funding for the NHS by 29%. By the end of the Parliament, that would be more than 650 million extra a week. Let's actually see how much has the NHS been funded since this point. So they must be invested even more than that, surely. In fact, we will build and fund 40 new hospitals over 10 years. So let's see if we're on track for that so far. If anything, we should have more hospitals because of how dire the NHS has been. Let's just say, let's see, how many new hospitals have been built in the UK since 2019 to 2020. How many do you think we would have now? So, well, it's been 5 years, right, since our last parliament. So we should have probably 20 hospitals. This is on top of the 20 hospitals upgraded this summer. We'll roll out cancer diagnosis, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's see. We should have probably 20. Let's say because of all the craziness that has happened, let's just hope that is at least a quarter of that. Okay, so since 2019, and I'm gonna check the source. So this is in May 2023, so this is over a year ago. Government remains committed to building 40 new hospitals by 2030. Okay, fair enough. The government has confirmed for the first time the new hospital program, now expected to be backed by over 20 billion investment infrastructure. How many have been built? I want to see. ChatGPT is telling me one thing. Rebuild 5 major hospitals. How many hospitals have we built? Okay, so for the last 5 years, 2 hospitals have been built, and in total, 7 are under construction or at that stage. So it's been 5 years. I said I was going to be optimistic and say, okay, so if 10 are being built, if 10 have been built, which then that makes sense because we had COVID, so that was an issue. So overall, if 10 were built, then that would be all right. But ideally, if we are on track, we should have had 20 built, or at least, you know, we have 20 under construction and ready to go. But currently, we've only got 2 hospitals that are fully built and 5 hospitals in construction. So we need 3 more hospitals at least just to reach my pessimistic goal of having 10. So they did not reach that point. Anyway, we don't need to go into too much detail about this. In fact, I wouldn't mind doing a breakdown of all of this, all of these promises that were made. The only problem is that I do want to approach this with a with the knowledge that, of course, we've had COVID and a bunch of other issues that's come along with it. So it would be good to read through this and see. But at the same time, I don't want to. How do I put it? I don't want to be so harsh on the Tories when the Tories made this manifesto before we would ever have predicted the worst to come. But still, only 7 hospitals, only 2 hospitals have been built, and only 5 are under construction. Maybe that's different now, but they haven't updated us on that. So I'm going to only assume the fact that this is. Oh yeah, I should probably put this on here. So this is on the government website as of May 2023. We have 2 hospitals that are now open, one in North Cumbria and one in Liverpool. And there's 5 under construction. I don't know if these ones are built now, but overall, in addition, this will build 3. So this will build 3 new hospitals. So we might overall get 10 hospitals built at this point, but I don't know. The fact that it's taken 5 years to get to this point, we don't look like we're on track at all to build 40 new hospitals by 2030 at all. Like, we just don't look like that. And this is by their own words as well. The government remains committed to building 40 hospitals by 2030. So I assume they don't give a shit about COVID. We're still going to do it. They should have been honest and just said, like, look, we had COVID, so ideally we can only really make 20 hospitals now. That might be an upsetting thing to say, but that would be the result, right? Oh, the tea's a bit cold now. So anyway, what point of all of this? I got really distracted. I got really distracted. The point of all of this is that I intend to do a reading of all of the manifestos for 2024, and that I want to just do a basic breakdown of all their stuff and get a somewhat decent idea of, how do I put this? A decent idea of what are they, what are the policies that they're doing? Are they going to be able to fund the stuff that they're promising economically? It would be interesting to also see for both Tories and Labour how they've changed their manifestos from before to now. For example, Sunak might say, we're not going to be building 40 hospitals now by 2030. We're going to be building 30 hospitals by 2040, right? Or they might even slip it in and say, we're going to, we're still committed to building these 30 hospitals. It's just now by 2040 instead, or 2030, whatever it would be. So that is the overall plan. I'm really interested in Labour the most because Labour doesn't make it easy to understand what their policy is going to be. Most of the time, they're just fuck Labour. Not to say that Tories have good policy. It's just I don't understand what Labour is for, especially since breaking off from Corbin, how are we meant to how are we meant to you say that you distinguish yourself from him, but you want a you want a public uh energy service. So how does that is that the same as Corbyn? And then in what ways are you different from Corbyn? Is it just the anti-Semitic stuff that you've gotten under control? Is that the only thing? And if that's the case, um, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if people are not 100% keen on that as a policy, at least. You get the idea. You get what I'm getting across, I hope. We love you, Boris. Yeah. Anyway, that's the plan. Once they finally release a manifesto, that is the plan. But for now, God, I can't believe that was the introduction. I was only planning to stream for an hour. You can tell that I'm a bit passionate about that subject, I guess. Yeah, so I did a bit of writing. I admit I did the writing at work. Did a bit of writing on chord construction. So I'll go over it simply here. It might not be written the best, but this is just for me to get the knowledge into my head and maybe distribute it to you as well. But a chord is essentially when you have two sounds, two notes that are played simultaneously. And the idea is that you're trying to get across a tension, a musical sound. I don't know if I can play that and you would get the input. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, we'll see. So if you had, this is actually tuned down. Yeah, this is tuned down. So I'm gonna pretend that this is in standard tuning, for the sake of this. But let's say you play an A chord. That should be. This is A. Assume. Yes. Let's check. This is A. Yeah, this is A. Okay. I was about to go a bit crazy there. So let's say you have an A chord, okay? I don't know if that's actually coming through. You have an A chord. So when you play one of the notes, it's just going to play one tone. And if you play this fifth, what would be a fifth from A? That would be A, B, C, D, E. So it would be E. Right. So you have an A and you have an E, and they're playing together. Sorry. So you have an A and an E. So if you play them singly, then they're just going to be a single note. If they play together, then you have a chord. In this case, it's a A power chord. I think it's technically called an A5. I just call it a power chord because that's how it is in. That's how it is in. Come on, brain, think. That's how it is on guitar theory, I guess. So you have yeah, that is the structure. So most common chord would be a triad. So that's made up of a major chord. Most people know major chord is the happy chord. Minor chord is a more sad chord. Augmented and diminished. And how those chords are constructed evokes different feelings and different tensions in the body. So a major chord generally it comes across as more happy. Doesn't necessarily have to be, but our Western minds think of it that way largely, and sometimes it gets challenged, but largely it's considered the happy chord. It's made of root, major, major third, and a fifth. Then you have the minor chord, which is made of a root, minor third, and a fifth. You have an augmented chord, which I think that is made up of a root, and then a thank you watch, a root, a major third, and a minor sixth. Would that be? I actually need to look that up just to make sure I'm correct there, because I know that I wrote minor sixth here, but is that actually true? And the other one would be a root minor third and a perfect fourth, which I think is true as well. Let me just make sure. Diminished chord, musical intervals. It's called a diminished fifth degree. Oh wait, I wrote, yeah, it was a diminished chord. So it's called a minor third and then a diminished fifth. But a diminished fifth would be a minor, major, minor, minor, major, minor. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 6, 1, 2, 3, 6. Yeah, so it's technically called a diminished fifth. But I think of it as a tritone because that's basically what it is. So where is it? Diminished fourth, a root, a minor third, and then another minor third. Oh, I said a perfect fourth. Is that true? I don't think that's true, is it? So perfect fourth would be. Sorry, I'm looking at a piano layout here. Let me show you what I'm looking at. So we have a minor third here, and we have a minor, another minor. So this is diminished. So starting from the root, so we have a root chord here, and then we go minor, major, minor, and we go minor, major, minor again, and then minor, major, minor again. When I'm saying minor, major, minor here, I'm talking about a minor third. So always a minor third distance away. 3 semitones, they would call it, but whatever. However you want to distinguish it. I think of it in musical intervals. So we've got this, which would be a diminished fifth. I I said a perfect fourth for some reason. Why would that be wrong? If I lay out a piano, let's say we just do it a fifth. Let's do it here on the D chord. So minor, major, minor. That'd be a perfect fourth. That'd be perfect fifth. Minor, major, minor. Is there a distinguish? I need to distinguish what is. Perfect fourth. All musical intervals. Maybe that's what I need. Musical intervals. Perfect fourth. Minus major second, major fifth, seventh, minors. We just have them all laid out. There we go. So we have unison, minor second, major second, augmented second. Is this? This isn't distinguishable. Distinguishable from the other one. So augmented second and major second are the same ones. They're just called different things when performing different functions. So I assume an augmented second would be used if we're doing an augmented chord of some kind. I'd assume it would be a sus chord when you have a sus2, and that's what you would be doing. Anyway, minor third and major third, and diminished fourth, perfect fourth, and augmented fourth. So a diminished fourth, that is the C to F flat. Piano here. So we've got C and then we've got F flat. And F flat would be E, wouldn't it? Or I guess technically could. Comes first, the augmented, the perfect fourth, or the. Let's ask ChatGPT. Oh. Just sorting all my windows. Before that reveals anything. Chat. Let's ask ChatGPT. So all. So what comes first? Perfect fourth comes before the tritone. And you. I don't know why I'm struck. I thought I knew this, but obviously not. Let's just make sure that we know what we're talking about. God, it's the perfect fourth and then the tritone. Okay. Am I right in thinking? Okay. How do we make the augmented, not augmented, how to make the diminished chord musical? So diminished fifth. And a diminished fifth is the tritone. So I don't know why I said it was a perfect fourth. Did think it was a tritone. Or diminished fifth. Okay. Oh, we're all learning here. Okay. So diminished. So we have four major chords. So the happier chord, major, sadder chord, minor, augmented, which kind of has a boosting feeling, and then diminished, which has this kind of haunting, I don't know, loneliness feeling. And then there's the dyad chord, which I just use the example of a power chord. So that root in the fifth earlier. I think that's an important thing to talk about. Right. I don't think we're going to get any writing done today, you know. I'm willing to do the stream, which was the thing I struggled with before, but now I can't be willing to do the writing. Musical theory. Actually, I the link right. Stream music theory. Right. Harmony is the next part. Harmony. Harmona, 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 harmona. Table for harmona. Uh, right here. So in music, harmony is used for. Actually, yeah, what is harmony? Think about what harmony is real quick. I actually don't know what harmony would be in my head. I assume when something harmonious, it's just I guess it's like multiple voices going together. Like if I'm thinking of like a church choir. When a church is in harmony, it's like the different voices of the choir are all working together in order to deliver a tone for you. But we shall see. So in in music, harmony is the use of simultaneous pitches, tones, notes, or chords. The study of harmony involves chords and their construction, and study of harmony includes chords and their construction. And I don't like the way this is written. Do you see this? In music, harmony. Yeah, by the way. Come on, highlight. Okay. In music, in music, harmony is the use of simultaneous pitches, tones, notes, or chords. Oh look, there's a barbershop quartet using an example. So that's sort of what I was thinking of. The study of harmony involves chords and their construction, and chord progressions, and the principles of the connection that governs them. I wish there was more commas here. Harmony is often said to refer to the vertical aspect of music as distinguished from the melodic line or the horizontal aspect. So I guess what they mean by that is rather than worrying about like the melody, so the melody goes along the sheet music, instead worries about how this up and down connection works, so how things line up, sound together. So that's what it's trying to get at. And the horizontal aspect, counterpoint, which refers to counterpoint. Interesting. I never heard of that term before. Counterpoint, which refers to the interweaving of melodic lines, and polyphony, which refers to the relationship of separate independent voices, is thus sometimes distinguished from harmony. In popular and jazz harmony, chords are named by their root, plus various terms and characters indicating their qualities. For example, a lead sheet may indicate chords such as C major, D minor, and G dominant 7. In many types of music, notably Baroque, Romantic, Modern, and Jazz, chords are often augmented with tensions. A tension is an additional chord member. Assume a chord member is a note that creates a relatively dissonant interval in relation to the bass. It's part of a chord, but it is not one of the chord tones. It is part of the chord, but it's not one of the chord tones. 1, 3, 5, 7. So this is 1, 3, 5, 7 is referring to the typical layout of a chord. So like I mentioned earlier with minor and major, so it'll be root, then a minor third or a major third, and then a fifth. Technically, it can go on. So this is a quad chord, right? So it can go on to have a seventh, That seventh can even be minor or major, um, and you can also then go on to 9, 11, and 13 as well. It stops at 15 because at 15 you reached beyond to the second octave. Um, so you don't carry on at that point. You just there's no more tones that you can add without essentially just having dissonance. Um, Typically, and also if you had a chord that involved all the way up to 13, it's gonna sound too, I'm gonna say loud. But yeah, it's quite difficult. Anyway, typically in the classical common practice period, which I assume is modern day, oh no, classical common practice period, a dissonant chord, a chord of tension, resolves to a uh, consonance chord. So that's referring back to dissonance, which is these chords that have a clashing sound with each other, and then consonance, so a chord that has less less tension with each other. So it is literally talking about resolving. Harmonization usually sounds pleasant to the ear when there is a balance between consonants and dissonant sounds. In simple words, that occurs when there is a balance between tense and relaxed moments. So really, harmony is just um, the understanding of chords and how they relate to each other. The chords are the actual things themselves, but harmony refers to it has a close relation with chord structure because I guess you don't necessarily have to play a chord like a bass line, right? So you have a bass, they might play single notes, but you would have um, multiple other instruments that layer on top of that to, in essence, make a chord. If you was to play everyone's part on one instrument, it would just be making a chord. But, because it's distinguished upon multiple instruments that are playing single notes, they harmonize with each other instead, harmonize to essentially make a chord. So I think that makes sense in my head. So harmony is harmony is closely related to chords in is the understanding of multiple pitches and top. Unlike chords is when one instrument. I'm gonna say it like this because it's a bit of a weird way of saying it, but it is technically correct, I guess, is when one instrument plays simultaneously as well. I like that. Literally, when I wrote this chord bit, I did not intend to talk about simultaneously, and literally the first thing in the harmony is in music, harmony is the use of simultaneous pitches. That's literally what I said for the chord. Um, Although I guess I was talking more about the feeling, invokes of feeling in a musical piece. Harmony is the use of can involve one instrument to pull. voices that play single notes to create inflect a chord. How many? The best example I can give for this is I use a bar quartet. I'm going to use a choir. It's a choir. Voices are playing to begin to it's a choir where multiple voices are playing their notes alongside each other, forming often to as see in music as opposed to the zone. I'm kind of stealing that bit from the article, but yeah, it works. This harmonization can come in, create the same tension and release that comes chords play single instrument. Example is to play a dissonant chord such as a dim chord, a is a vocalist, bass player, and guitar. This would create tension. Tension or resolving a traditional this by splitting your chord among instruments can create good yeah, that sounds alright. That sounds more or less what I'm after. Great. I just realized it was Thursday today. Going to work tomorrow. Sadly, I'll be out tomorrow as well. I won't be around to do more of this. Going out drinking. It's one of my friends' birthdays tomorrow. Cute. Just gotta make sure to not drink too much. I kind of know what I don't even know if it's called timber or timbre or say it. To
Timbre.
timbre, timbre,
timbre,
timbre,
timbre,
timbre.
Timbre.
T A A M B E
Timbre.
T A M B
Timbre. Timbre makes more sense. Timbre.
timbre,
Timbre. Yeah, that makes more sense than how we say it in the UK.
Timbre.
Timbre.
A
So it's timbre. Timbre. Timbre.
A
I think timbre makes more sense. So timbre. Timbre, sometimes called color or color tone, is the principal phenomenon that comes from distinguishing one instrument from another when both play at the same pitch and volume. The quality of the voice of the instrument described in terms of bright, dull, and shrill. Is considerable interest in music theory, especially because it's one of the components of music that has, as yet, no standardization. I don't know what that fucking word is. No nomenclature. It has no standardization. Could have just used that word. It has been called the psychoacoustician's multidimensional wastebasket category for everything that cannot be labeled pitch or loudness. Interesting, but can be accurately described as analyzed by frontier analysis and other methods because it results from a combination of all sound frequencies, attack and release envelopes, and other qualities that tone comprises. Timbre is principally determined by two things: the relative balance of overtones produced by a given instrument due to its construction, shape, and material, the envelope of the sound, including changes in overtone structures over time. So, like how, so when they say envelope, they're talking about the attack, ADSR, attack, sustain, delay, release. No, AD. Sure, it's attack, delay, sustain, release. I think that makes sense. Not sure. So timbre varies widely between different instruments' voices, and to a lesser degree, different instruments of the same type due to the variation of their construction. So, for example, my guitar, I think it does sound a bit different from what I remember to what it used to be. It used to be a lot brighter, and as it's gotten older, it's kind of gone a bit deeper, a bit darker. So, yeah. Yeah, so in general, that's how it works. My voice is gonna, if I go different strings as well. Different strings are gonna have I don't make a guitar sound when I go. So we're doing the same note, we're doing the same pitch, we're doing the same variation, everything. But we make different sounds because if we're really going into the nitty gritty, different sine waves. All sounds are made up of sine waves. So when I'm speaking right now, you can, if you go down right to the nitty gritty, even square waves, even triangle waves, if you go down to the nitty gritty, we're all going to make a sine wave of some kind. It's just going to be different shapes and different sizes. And when you bring them all together, they make a complete sound. Voice can change its timbre by the way the performer manipulates their voice. Yeah. So if I go, hello, 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 hello. That's a way that someone can change their timbre. This also indicates that voraciously by symbolic and verbal construction. For example, the word dolus indicates a non-specific but commonly understood soft and sweet timbre. So taste do I don't know if this is a weird example, but anyway, I think I understand timbre. Timbre is how I feel like I can describe it better than the article is, frankly. Well, not really. Is the way that the sound is constructed. Outside of pitch, and it is commonly called color. Due to the way that many can picture sound in their mind as being brighter, darker. These terms typically referring to sound either is delivery higher C's, lower C's. So, like for example, a bright bass is going to have more higher frequencies, and a more darker bass would have more darker frequencies. A lot of distortion guitars sound quite bright. But if you have a more underground metal, right, a really, well, for lack of a better term, a really dark metal band, it's probably going to sound a lot more bassy, a lot more, you know, that kind of dog, I can't do it, but that kind of dog style screaming. That's generally from a lower tone, from more, you're trying to deliver more lower frequencies. And then when you have someone who screams, you know, really screams on higher pitches and go like la 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 la, it's using more higher frequencies with their voice. A guitar playing a D note the same pitch and volume as me singing a D note is going to sound different. I can't make a sound like a guitar, and a guitar can't sound like me. This is due to the sine waves produced by the voice are going to a different layout and spread out differently. This results in a different feel sound. You can they playing the same pitch. In other words, in the technical sense, this is the fin. I just want to throw in that word just to make me sound smart. Phenomenon. I can't spell it. I'm gonna get. Oh no. No. I want to help other people. Phenomenon. There you go. I don't need to spell. This is the phenomenon. Phenomenon of timbre? I don't think that makes sense. This is the. This is. We. I can't. I couldn't fit it in. If we were to record this, zoom in audio files, we would see this due to the fact that the sine waves used by the voice and guitar are in different layout and are spread differently. This results in a different feel or sound. But you can recognize that they are playing the same pitch and at the same volume. This is what I'm talking about. Same pitch, different sound. I'll point out the fact that as of yet, we have not got a musical language to communicate different timbres. However, possibly with the rise AI and now with AI alongside synths that can create any timbre with MIDI keyboard, we may see However, with the rise of AI alongside synths that can create any timer on keyboard, we may see a file type formed that construct that is universally accepted just as much as the JPEG or the PNG or the MP4, MP3. Stores a that stores a Tumbra surely we got to get a guitar dot which in a sense is a God, I didn't even spell language right. Come on. Anyway. So that's pretty good. I think I'm gonna stop there. We've got a couple more to go. I'm interested in doing notation. So I don't really know much about notation, but we have a sponsor. I'm joking. We don't have a sponsor. But I am using an app called Duolingo, as you may know. And I'm using Duolingo to learn a little bit of music notation. I don't think it's great, to be honest with you, for music notation, but it's taught me the absolute bare bone basics, and using that alongside other knowledge that I've picked up throughout the years, like knowing what a quarter note is, knowing quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, knowing what the different staffs are and whatnot. These things have helped me along the years. So it's allowed me to kind of have a small foundation that allows me to jump into Duolingo and just go through the basics. Like for example, I can read this as FACE F A B C D E F. Yeah, so this is F F F F F. What we got here? We got C D E F G E C. We got C and C. So this is a what's it called? An octave. What have we got here? A B C. So that's C as well. So this is just all octaves. It's meant to be. Okay, yeah, that's what it's meant to be. And then we've got this here as well. So just want to make sure we're still streaming. We are. We've got this as well. So we've got C, A, B, C. Is that B? Yeah, it has to be B. C, B, A, F, A, yeah. A, G. So we've got C, I'm already forgetting. C, B, C, A. No, not A. That's A. That has to be G. Let's one more time. C, B, A, G, and then what's it? F, E, D, C. And then we've got another one here. So apparently this is meant to signify something. So this is meant to be where the G is, I guess. G? I don't know. I don't know if this dot is meant to signify anything. That looks like it's on the same line as C. So I guess that maybe that dot is meant to signify middle C. Is there does this represent C at all? If no, that can't represent C. A, C, E, E, F. So that represents F. Is that an F clef? I actually don't know. Different clefs. Music. So treble clef, also known as G clef. Yeah, so G, it represents G because it circles the G. Maybe that isn't a hard and fast rule. Like maybe it was just a coincidence that it circled the G. And then this is the F clef because the dot, yeah, it has to be coincidence then. The dot circles the F bass clef. Treble clef, bass clef. Sorry, I'm doing this again. Treble clef, bass clef, alto clef. Is that middle between treble and tenor clef? What's the difference between tenor and the? Oh, they just move it up a little bit. Why couldn't all clefs just look like this and then move it up and down the line depending on? Well, actually, just forget all that altogether. Why do we put clefs on different lines? Some ChatGPT again. Is there a good reason why we made clefs at all? Why couldn't we just same lines for all so that bottom line is E, the A to top line, the top line B. So that would be, well, here we go, F, top line, yeah. In fact, why is it laid out that way at all? In fact, why is it out that some is E? It make sense to see. But what is bass clef? What is the bottom line? It's G for some reason. And it's F for that one. Yeah, none of them even make the bottom line C, which I thought would make sense because C is generally considered, like generally you start at middle C. Anyway. This were developed to help musicians read music more easily across different vocal ranges and instruments. detailed explanation. Levels of clefs. Range appropriateness. Different instruments and voices have varying pitch ranges. Clefs allow for notation to stay within the staff without requiring excessively larger leisure lines. Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, because if your tone, yeah, if your tone was to go too far beyond the lines, then some people might, you know, like only be using the top 2 or 3 lines and not actually using the full full leisure. Middle C serves as a central reference point. Starting the staff at C would not necessarily simplify the reading process for all instruments and voices. Yeah, okay, I guess it was just E was made the most sense at the time. Why is leisure made the way that it is designed? Hmm. I don't, yeah, the problem is I feel like music has a big issue when it comes to, you see this, like why is it okay for it to all be in the leisure lines, but then sometimes it just goes outside the leisure lines? I feel like when we get to this situation where we've got this line represented here and then it goes up to here, just makes it seem a bit unreadable. So you got to remember that it goes, well, in this case we're G, this is E at this point. So E, F, G, A, B. You just got to wish there was an easier way to read this stuff, you know? G, A, B, C, D, E, F. You know, it's like, how do I know when jump from here to here? It's an easy way for me to recognize that. Or if this note was going to this note. 1, 2. I guess one thing to think about is the fact that if I think of it like numbers, so A being 1, B being 2, so on and so forth. If it goes from 1 to a 5, then I know that it's going to be on a line, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to F. And I can probably count quicker if I do it that way. So if I know that it's 5, then I know that it's going to be, what's it going to be? It's going to be 3 lines up. 1, 2, 3. If I know that it's going to be 7, I know it's going to be 4 lines up. 1, 2, 3 to A. If I'm at G, I know it's going to be 3 spaces up, right? If I want to go up there, so 1, 2, 3, and it goes to E. It's just thinking about it at the same time. It just seems difficult. Anyway, not important right now. I think we've done good today. Done, how many words have we done? 437 words. So we've done almost 500 words this time round. We did do a bit of talking about politics earlier in this stream, so that's bound to be a problem in general. But I think we've done a decent amount of research. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more to go, and then I think I'm going to be done with this particular part. I don't really want to hang around too much to learn about Mesopotamian music or learning about the Baroque period or the classical period. I don't know how desperately I want to go into the specifics of ancient periods. Like I know it's important to I don't even know how important it is to really understand the Baroque period or the classical period, Romantic period, because nowadays with the current period we are like music is vastly increased in pace. Like it feels like I might be wrong about this, but I think we've done a lot more in 100 years of music than we've done in the previous 400. Like if you just think about what music sounded like in the 1920s when they only just had vinyl, and now you don't even need musical knowledge to play an instrument. You Nowadays you can record your own studio at home for a relatively cheap price. You can get an AI almost at this point to write all the music for you. Theory spelled wrong. You can use synthesizers and create an entire orchestra just on your own. Like, could you imagine if Mozart had that ability? Instead of spending all his time writing down music theory and music notation, he could actually have just had a full orchestra ready to go. Yeah, it's just big changes. So I'll probably be moving on from this to history of music. Is that what we're doing? History of music? Oh no. We have introduction to music theory. So this is a bunch of the reading resources that ChatGPT gave me. Basically, I tell ChatGPT, look, this is the subject that I want to do. Here's the lesson layout. Give me a bunch of reading material that you want to give me for music theory. The fact that this is a 3,000 word document so far, and it's going through all the specifics of music theory, I think is a testament to it. Understanding scales, we'll get into that, and then basics of harmony, chord progression. So basic of harmony, I guess, would be basics of how to construct a chord, and then chord progressions and circle of fifths, and then rhythm and meter. And it's actually interesting that I now know basics of harmony is going to be about chord construction because that's what we learnt today. The point is we're going through each of these bits one by one. Then we will finish this lesson, and then we will, after that, work on, what's it called? We'll work on a written piece and maybe do a bit of DAW stuff as well. I'm looking to do that in Ableton when I can. So for now, I'm just going to leave that there. Oh, sorry, a lot of talking. A lot of talking. Oh, I should mention as well. So, been watching some videos on how to actually plan out everything that I want to do. My aim is to try and get into music production, and I think a good way to do it is through these streams and YouTube videos and doing my writing, because I'm good at writing and I like the idea of doing YouTube videos. So I don't know why I'm mentioning this, but essentially, my plan is to start producing music videos, producing YouTube videos by the end of this year. If anything, I really would ideally want to get it going as soon as possible. But doing that process is going to take quite a long time. But just know that I want to let myself know that that is what I want to do. So I feel like if I let myself know and I let this channel know, then maybe I can get that going a bit in my head. But how we do that, we'll need to find out. Anyway, I'm just rambling on now. Uh, I was going to say thank you for watching, but nobody's watching. So thank no one for watching. Thank myself for spending this time to do some writing. I didn't think I would be going on for an hour and a half, or well over an hour and a half. I was intending to only do an hour, and I actually almost did two. And I'm pretty happy about that. If I started at 6, then I could have been going on for 6 hours. That would have been insane. Maybe we'll do that one day. And the fact that we are now somewhat regularly streaming, we've only done 2 streams as of this recent time, but we are starting to do streaming in a pace that works for us. And while we have that in mind, let's just keep going with it, see what happens, and hopefully it will turn out to be something that I want it to be. So, yep, that's it.